This was Operation Epic Fury.
I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death.
Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead, the target of precision U.S.-Israeli military strikes. The death of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
U.S. President Donald Trump says Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been killed.
Khamenei was killed.
Khamenei confirmed dead.
The conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran remains highly volatile. When Iran's longtime supreme leader Ali Khamenei died in 2026, many people around the world hoped the war would finally begin to wind down. But instead of peace, a new and far more mysterious figure stepped into power, the son of the previous leader himself. Now the question governments, analysts, and millions of people are asking is simple but terrifying. Will Iran's new supreme leader continue the war or change the course of history?
I would like to assure you that the revenge will be taken of all the people for all the martyrs.
His name is Mojtaba Khamenei. Born in 1969, he rose from the shadows of Iran's most powerful family to become one of the most secretive and influential figures in the country. But who is he really? What shaped him? What kind of leader will he be? And does he have the power to escalate the conflict even further? Will he follow his father's hardline legacy, move toward peace, or become an unpredictable ruler similar to figures like Kim Jong-un? And perhaps most importantly, will Iran, under his rule, remain hostile to the United States, or could he reshape the country's future entirely? If you want more clear, no-nonsense breakdowns of global conflicts and powerful leaders, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Mojtaba Khamenei was born in the holy city of Mashhad, Iran, into a family that would eventually dominate the nation's political and religious landscape. As the son of Ali Khamenei, he grew up surrounded by power, secrecy, and ideology. Unlike children of democratic leaders who might attend public schools and live somewhat visible lives, Mojtaba's upbringing took place largely behind closed doors within Iran's elite clerical circles. From a young age, he was exposed to revolutionary ideas born out of the 1979 Iranian Revolution, which transformed Iran from a monarchy aligned with the West into an Islamic republic deeply suspicious of foreign influence. His father rose steadily through the ranks, eventually becoming the country's supreme authority, and Mojtaba grew up watching firsthand how power operated in a system where religious authority and political control were inseparable. Rather than pursuing a conventional academic path, Mojtaba studied in religious seminaries in Qom, the intellectual center of Shia Islam in Iran. There, he trained as a cleric, learning theology, Islamic law, and the ideological foundations of the Iranian state. However, unlike many senior religious leaders, he never achieved the highest scholarly rank required to independently issue major religious rulings, something critics later used to question his legitimacy as a potential supreme leader. Despite his low public profile, Mojtaba gradually built influence behind the scenes. Analysts widely believe he developed close relationships with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, often called the IRGC, the powerful military organization that protects the Islamic Republic and controls vast economic and security networks. This connection would become one of the most important pillars of his power. During periods of domestic unrest, especially the disputed 2009 presidential election protests, Mojtaba was rumored to have played a significant role in coordinating the government's response. Although official details remain scarce, many observers concluded that he had become one of the most powerful unelected figures in the country. Unlike charismatic leaders who rely on public speeches and mass popularity, Mojtaba cultivated influence through loyalty networks, security ties, and institutional control. He rarely appeared in public, gave almost no interviews, and maintained an aura of mystery that made him difficult to analyze, and potentially more dangerous. When Ali Khamenei died amid escalating conflict with Israel and the United States, the transition of power became a moment of extreme uncertainty. In Iran's system, the supreme leader is not merely a political figure. He is the ultimate authority over the military, judiciary, media, and religious institutions. Whoever holds that position effectively controls the direction of the entire country. Mojtaba's rise signaled continuity rather than change. Many observers interpreted his leadership as an attempt by the ruling establishment to preserve the existing system and prevent internal fragmentation during wartime. At the center of the conflict is not just territory or politics, but strategic power across the Middle East. Iran's influence stretches through allied groups and governments in countries such as Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. These networks allow Iran to project power far beyond its borders without engaging in direct conventional war. Another critical factor is geography, especially control over the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway connects the Persian Gulf to the open ocean and is one of the most important shipping routes on Earth. Roughly 1/5 of the world's oil supply passes through it. Any disruption there could send global energy prices skyrocketing and trigger economic shockwaves worldwide. Iran's position along the strait gives it enormous leverage. Even without formally closing it, Iran can threaten shipping using mines, missiles, drones, or fast naval craft. However, completely blocking the passage would almost certainly provoke a massive international military response, not just from the United States, but from countries around the world that depend on Gulf oil. So, will Mojtaba continue the war? The answer is complicated. On one hand, continuing the conflict could strengthen his domestic legitimacy. In times of crisis, populations often rally around strong leadership, especially when national survival is framed as being at stake. A firm stance against foreign adversaries could reinforce his image as a defender of the nation and protector of the revolution. Continuing the war also maintains Iran's deterrence strategy. By demonstrating that it can strike back despite heavy losses, Iran signals that attacking it carries high costs. This message is intended not only for Israel and the United States, but also for regional rivals. However, prolonged war carries enormous risks. Iran's economy has already suffered under years of sanctions, inflation, and currency decline. Large-scale military conflict could push the country into severe economic crisis, potentially triggering domestic unrest that threatens the government itself. Ending or de-escalating the war could provide significant advantages. It would allow Iran to rebuild damaged infrastructure, stabilize its economy, and reduce the risk of catastrophic military defeat. Diplomatic engagement could also open the door to sanctions relief and international investment, improving living conditions for ordinary citizens. But peace has political costs as well. Hardline factions within Iran might interpret compromise as weakness, undermining Mojtaba's authority. In a system where legitimacy is closely tied to resistance against foreign pressure, appearing too conciliatory could be dangerous for a new leader trying to consolidate power. Will he create a pro-U.S. government? That scenario is extremely unlikely. The Islamic Republic's identity is deeply rooted in opposition to Western dominance, especially American influence. Shifting toward a pro-U.S. stance would require fundamental ideological changes that could destabilize the regime. Instead, the most probable path is cautious continuity, maintaining hostility at a strategic level while avoiding full-scale war that could be disastrous for all sides. This approach allows Iran to project strength without risking total destruction. Comparisons to Kim Jong-un arise because both leaders inherited power in systems dominated by ideology and security institutions. However, Iran is not North Korea. It has a larger population, more complex political structures, and deeper integration into regional economics and energy markets. Ultimately, Mojtaba Khamenei's leadership will likely be defined by balancing survival with confrontation. Too much aggression could invite overwhelming retaliation, while too much compromise could weaken his authority at home. For the rest of the world, the stakes are enormous. The Middle East remains one of the most strategically important regions on the planet, and decisions made in Tehran can influence global energy markets, international security, and geopolitical stability. As the dust settles from recent battles, one thing is clear: the conflict is far from resolved. A new leader now holds the power to escalate tensions or cautiously steer towards stability. Whether Mojtaba Khamenei becomes a hardline wartime ruler or a pragmatic strategist may determine not only Iran's future, but the trajectory of global politics in the years to come. And for now, the world watches, waiting to see which path he will choose.